A warning: if there are children in the room, the content here may be disturbing.
Coast colleague Tony Mullen, a clinical nurse supervisor, got the call around 9:30 p.m. after her shift was over to come back to the trauma center.
Every death means something. Every death touches us.
All of a sudden, hear in the background something that sounded like fireworks going off. It was going pop, 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 pop.
All of a sudden, it started going non-stop, the spraying. So then it went. I could go on solid, never stop.
When all of a sudden we started hearing what I thought were firecrackers. And it went on for a while, and we started looking at each other like, that's strange. Where's the fireworks? I don't see anything. Punched down to the people in front of me. I said, don't worry, guys, it's okay. It's just fireworks.
And so I heard pop firecrackers, and it sounded like, well, it's street level. And I thought, oh, well, what a jerk. Who's doing that right now? Trying to scare people. My friend JR from Sirius XM and we took off. We just kept herding people, run, run, run. And while we're running, I could feel stuff hitting the back of my leg. And then what it turned out to be was he was shooting, and that was the asphalt that was shooting up. So he was tracking us, trying to hit us as we were running. It was so bad, and it was so much mayhem, and the gunfire was so rapid. I turned on my cell phone and started video it just hanging onto my hand. When I was laying on the ground, the one hit the ground, it shattered about 8 inches away from me. I got just a little cut. And then while we're pinned down, I called my captain in Seguin. And I don't know what time of the morning it was. There's probably 2 or 3. And I told him, I said, Pacheco, wake up. He did. I said, put your feet on the floor, sit up and listen to me. I said, we're under fire. And he said, what? And I said, just shut up and listen to me. We're under fire. Turn on CNN, Fox News, anything. Get up on the internet. Look for anything. I got to find out where this guy is. I said, because he's picking everybody off like fish in a barrel. It was like shooting human fish in a barrel, is what it was. It's like the old Western movie where somebody takes a gun and says dance, and they shoot the ground. That's exactly what it was doing around us. It was just hitting the ground and dirt popping up. And I used to be an EMT, so I looked at that, and he was bleeding profusely. They hit an artery. This guy was dying. So I grabbed him and I got another guy. We dragged this guy across the street, and it's still, you can hear him hitting out in the street where we're at. 15 feet away from us, I can still see ricochets coming. This guy is just, it's like a war movie that hasn't even been aired yet because there's so much firepower in this. Recently I had tourniquet training. So I whipped this guy's belt off, tied it up, and I had to hold it. And so while I'm holding it, then everybody looks at it and says, wow, that guy must know what he's doing, so let's bring people to him. Yeah, so now I've got a lady shot in the back, shot in the stomach, shot in the chest, shot in the back. And so I got these 3 victims here. We got them into the ER. Before I left, they had told me they're gonna be fine. They're gonna be fine, even the guy with the carotid artery. And the whole back of the seat was literally a pool of blood. Everything was just blood. It was something I've never seen before. And then after that, there was a car that came up, and then the guy brought a lady, took her out, and she had a headshot, and she died. There was no way she was going to survive that.
I said, I think I was just shot. It felt like a huge baseball, just the force of it going through my stomach. And then I looked down, there's blood everywhere, and I knew I was shot. Tried to stay low, and I was being trampled, and it was so hard to move, Everyone was stepping on everybody. I knew once I jumped over that fence, I'm like, okay, I'm a little closer to the exit. the closest hospital I think was Sunrise, and he didn't take me there because he knew that he didn't think I would make it. So he's like, no, I have to take you to the trauma hospital. He's like, you'll be treated right away. And the people in the car were putting pressure on my wound because I had the other leg wrapped. My heart is just hurting for all the people that didn't make it. My heart's hurting for the people I couldn't help because I'm a nurse. That's just who I am.
How long will you be here?
For another 3 days.
The professional photographer was covering the Route 91 Harvest Festival and had just finished taking pictures of country music star Jason Aldean.
And it's literally as soon as she said that, the spring started.
Guerrero made it to his car in the parking lot, and then he froze in fear. He called his son, a Marine, to ask what he should do next. As they were fleeing, Guerrero's car took gunfire from the shooter. One managed to hit the tire.
Literally, when we pulled into the stratosphere, I pulled into the handicapped parking spot, and my tire went completely gone.
We're like, oh, it's just fireworks. So everybody goes back to dancing and singing and going along with the song, and then all of a sudden, you hear this as fast as it can come. 30, 40 rounds go down somewhere, and we don't know what it is. Everybody's just looking around like, what was that? 30, 40 rounds go down somewhere, and we don't know what it is. Everybody's just looking around like, what was that? So my boss is definitely, I think he got a punctured lung. I think he took his spleen out and part of his colon.
He is out of ICU, which is pretty unbelievable. He suffered major internal injuries.
One of the things that helped save Phil that night was the tight-fitting undershirt he chose to wear, coincidentally labeled Under Armour. It compressed his bleeding. He still has a bullet lodged in his lung. He lost his spleen and part of his colon.
That is just incredible, Susan Elizabeth. All right, thank you.
He have a shot in his hand and one on his leg. And they actually said that the third one, he had like a steel key in the back, so that protected him from the bullet. That's, yeah, I know. So that's the only thing we know. But he's good.
Bill Robinson's son, Bill, was at the concert with friends, Bill Sr. at home in Scottsdale. He has to ask whether his son's wallet may have saved his life. Doctors told the family bullets often splinter and fragment on impact. This one didn't. The bullet hit his son in the hip, the angle of it causing the round to lodge in Bill's wallet. He still has the bullet and the money he was carrying, now bloody.
I also showed him a picture of a cell phone that had a bullet, an Apple phone that had a bullet through it. And it was a therapist over at UMC. And that bullet went through her phone and hit her hand. She just had tissue damage. She fixed it herself.
20 people, all just peel over like dominoes. And so we went down with them.
The last image I remember is him laying on her body while I'm down on the ground. Bullets are, going overhead, and I'm sitting there thinking he's going to get shot.
Karen also helped a young woman who was grazed by one bullet. Another hit her cell phone.
And joining us now, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Officer Brady Cook. He was shot Sunday night. It was just his second day on the job. Also joining us is Officer Cook's partner, Officer Josh Haynes.
Well, we responded to the active shooter call. At first we had no idea where the shooting was coming from. We got reports that it was coming from in the festival, then outside the festival, then actually at the Mandalay Bay.
We didn't know where the rounds were coming from. We actually thought that it was two shooters at the time, one inside the Route 91 concert and then one outside at Mandalay Bay. And by the time we realized exactly where the rounds were coming from, the rounds were coming down like raindrops.
We parked, we took cover, we got out in a rain of gunfire. All you could see around us was the cement just pop, 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 pop with the just rounds hitting the ground. We took some cover behind the patrol cars, and in the midst of all that, trying to find the gunfire, I ended up getting hit. And
tell us about your injury. Where'd you get hit?
I had adrenaline going. I didn't even feel the gunshot hit me. I just noticed my arm turn into a noodle. It went completely limp, and I just saw blood gushing everywhere. The shooter traced us. I don't know how we didn't get shot more. He was tracing us with gunfire. He ended up ripping my shirt off to see where I was hit.
I could see two impact points. There was one under the arm, and then it looked like there was a second one going through the chest.
We ended up keep going and getting a patrol car, stealing a patrol car, and he rushed me to the hospital.
Do they plan to operate on your leg?
I don't know yet. I just have bullet fragments in my leg, so.
Just.
Well.
Yeah. Bullet fragments in your leg.
Santa Cruz County man is one of the lucky ones tonight. He was shot in the neck in Las Vegas. The bullet is still there tonight.
And it went through my ear and entered right behind my jaw and then traveled down to a few inches above my collarbone.
The bullet is still sitting inside Jeff Christensen's neck.
It was just complete insanity. The entire time was just chaos.
At first, I thought it was fireworks because the burst was so fast. And I turned to my wife and said, somebody just lit off some fireworks. Well, they didn't take the bullet out because they said it's lodged in. He didn't want to tear my shoulder up to get it out.
Jonathan Smith was shot in the neck as he saved more than a dozen people.
The bullet is still in his neck. Doctors say it's too risky to remove. He believes if it wasn't for an off-duty San Diego police officer who came to his rescue, he might not be here. He took this selfie from the hospital, but it's this picture taken by the Washington Post that's gone viral. The bullet is still in his neck. Doctors say it's too risky to remove. The only souvenirs he wants to keep is this concert bracelet still on his wrist and the one cowboy boot he didn't lose during the mayhem.
A school administrator from Thornton is also recovering from the Vegas attack.
Todd Riley is the assistant principal at Century Middle School.
Todd says he had 8 or 9 wounds from bullet fragments from his legs to his stomach.
I looked down and the upper wound on my thigh is just pouring blood. This is the one that was just pouring. This one was pumping.
He went back to the doctor here in Colorado yesterday, where he learned that the pieces of shrapnel will have to stay in his leg.
A moment of absolute terror, bullets raining down during a country music festival. One woman, her one thought after being shot is to get home to her 3 children in the Coachella Valley. An Indio teacher who survived with the help of her husband, her cousin, and numerous Good Samaritans.
People say, oh, I'm a firefighter, oh, I'm a nurse, oh, I'm a Marine, so people were coming to aid immediately.
It was complete chaos as her husband applied pressure to the wound and the 3 ran for cover.
Yeah, the bullet remains inside of me.
It's still in you right now?
Yeah.
Is that just going to be in there now?
It's just going to be in there now. It's in an awkward position. It's near my tailbone, and it's behind a lot of my guts, they say, so it would be too much trouble to try and take it out.
In spite of the bullet lodged in his leg, the off-duty Torrance assistant fire chief then grabbed 8 others and ran into the street. They piled into an Uber van. One bullet grazed his back, and another hit him in the back of the lower leg. He was just released. The bullet, he was told, will have to remain in his leg for life.
I heard 4 or 5 shots. Most say it sounded like fireworks, which it did. I think it was the 3rd round of automatic fire when we were on the ground and I was covering my wife and our 2 friends, and it was when I was shot.
Doused still has a bullet in his back. We're told it's too close to his lungs to be taken out safely right now.
His x-rays show the bullet fragments still in his body.
Most of them are embedded in my muscle that will eventually be surrounded by scar tissue. I had a dream last week after going back to Vegas to visit and pay respects to the 58 that had fallen. I remember waking up at 3 a.m. in Vegas time, with sounds of gunshots.
Dustin Burkhart, a country music DJ.
It was horrible.
Dustin still has a bullet in his leg, but this husband and wife are grateful. The couple was finally reunited at the hospital at 3:30 in the morning.
It went along my skull and came out about 3 inches later. And I felt it, and it was like spraying out. So I held it, and we ran.
So where did it go?
It came right in the back, right in the center of my head, and it came out about 3 inches later along my skull.
Psychologist Dr. Jeff Gardier called it Batman syndrome.
Here's someone who lives at night, lives in the shadows, shuns the daylight, feels his greatest strength in the evening, at night, and basically is not a person who exposes himself much to sunlight